Talk some Niners. Got Matty Barrows from The Athletic, 49ers insider for The Athletic. He's all over everything happening in free agency. Matt, good morning. Welcome back to the roast. But first and foremost, I have to ask you, because we're trying to figure this out. Maybe you don't even know, and you're probably trying to figure it out. What do you know about Nick Sorensen, the new DC of the 49ers? What kind of DC is he? Does anybody know yet?
We don't know because he's never been a DC. He's been a special teams coordinator. If you're expecting like the Robert Saleh chest bumping or the DeMeco Ryans fiery sideline presence, I don't think that's Sorensen. I think he's more of a kind of cerebral guy, low key guy. That's the way he was as a player. He lasted 10 years in the league as a kind of a special teams ace, and he wasn't one of those Blake Costanzo wild man special teamers. He was more, like I said, cerebral, kind of well thought out, never out of place, had a lot of speed. That helped quite a bit. So, I think that is the appeal of him. He's a smart, intelligent, thoughtful guy.
Is he going to be on the sideline or in the booth?
I imagine he's on the sideline, and I imagine that Brandon Staley is in the booth. But that's a great question. Kyle Shanahan hasn't even announced this yet, so this is all it's not even official. He could pull a fast one on us and say that he extracted Jeff Ulbrich from the New York Jets, and he's the defensive coordinator. So, yeah, Kyle moves slowly when it comes to announcing staff moves. I remember we were waiting last year for this as well. And there's some other ones that he has to do with a couple of guys heading on to different roles around the league.
Take me back to the Steve Wilks, because Bonte's like, are they even going to have a press conference? Do they have press conferences when they hire coordinators?
No, I don't think so. They're going to have the owners meeting at the end of this month, at which Kyle Shanahan will speak. That very well may be the first time he talks about Steve Wilks and Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley and all of that stuff. Sometimes you can get a head coach at one of the local pro days. Stanford has a pro day. Sometimes Shanahan shows up there. But boy, there's not a lot of action happening with these local teams in the draft. So I doubt that Shanahan makes an appearance at any of those.
All right, Leonard Floyd. We had Baldy on talk about Leonard Floyd. It seems like a good addition here. The other defensive lineman, Jordan Elliott from Cleveland. What do you know about him? Not a lot of Niner fans know a lot about him. We see some of the metrics. Some of them says, hey, he has a great win rate when it comes to the run game. Some PFF says he's one of the worst against the run. Jordan Elliott, what do you know about him coming over from the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, it seems like, let's just assume that Eric Armstead is moving on, right. And I don't know if that's 100%, but let's just, for the sake of argument, not have him in the equation. That would really create two openings at defensive tackle for the 49ers. You'd need a starter, somebody to line up next to Javon Hargrave, and you need somebody on that second unit, too, the one that Javon Kinlaw and Kevin Givens were on last year. To me, I think that Elliott is part of that number two group. He started a lot of games in Cleveland, but I get the sense that he was more of a base down guy who sort of quickly came off the field. I want to say that he played 40% of Cleveland's defensive snaps last year. So this guy might be, quote-unquote, a starter, but he was not an every down guy. So that's how I sort of see it. He could start for the 49ers, but if they're playing nickel most of the game, he's going to be on the sideline for most of the game. So my point is that I still think that they're looking for a more impactful defensive tackle to play next to Hargrave. I think that they hope that guy's going to be Eric Armstead. That Armstead will go out there, maybe not find the deal that he wants, and comes back. Most people think that he's gone. And if he is, I think the 49ers still have some work to do there.
What are the chances that other releases happen, Hargrave or some sort of a transaction down the line? There's been a lot of speculation about one of the playmakers. Some of it's just rampant speculation. Some of it might be. Kyle Juszczyk, yeah. Like who else are you thinking or have heard might get restructured, released, or traded?
I mean, Juszczyk is the one that comes to mind because they have approached him. I think it's gone. I don't know if it's gone quite as poorly for them as the Armstead one, where Juszczyk now kind of wants to be cut and test the market. I just put in a text to his agent to see if there's been any movement on that. Hasn't gotten back to me. The thing with Juszczyk and Armstead is that I don't see a difference in Juszczyk's play since 2017 when they first signed him. And right. Remember, it was such a big deal. It's like, they're paying all this money to a fullback, and it turned out to be the best free agent signing that they made. There were a lot of guys that they signed that year: Marquise Goodwin, Robbie Gould, Pierre Garçon. And the one that received the most scrutiny was the Juszczyk signing because they were paying so much to a fullback. He's been worth it to them, I imagine he would get a lot of attention if he did become a free agent. I mean, think about how many teams run Kyle Shanahan's offense now, and how few of them have a really good fullback. I know that Matt LaFleur in Green Bay would love it. Wow. Juszczyk's off-season home is on Long Island. Do you think he wouldn't mind playing for the Jets at the end of his career? I mean, all of that makes sense. My sense, and it's just my sense, is that they will find some sort of common ground. I mean, he's so important to Kyle Shanahan. He's so ensconced here. He's got a great relationship with his tailback, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, those guys hang out together. They vacation together. It's a really good dynamic there. So I think that gets worked out in one shape or form.
Matt Barrows here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game does a great job covering the 49ers. Been doing it for a long time, formerly the Sacramento Bee, now with the Athletic, of course, and he's been with them for a few years now. We've had a conversation this morning. Obviously, the defensive line, they're trying to upgrade that with Leonard Floyd, and brought the young man over from Carolina, of course, Jordan Elliott. But the offensive line was a topic of conversation today, and we do expect the Niners to upgrade their offensive line in some areas, but it'll probably come in the draft, right, Matt Barrows? Do you think they're going to put a heavy emphasis on the offensive line in the upcoming NFL draft, or will they try to find some bargain basement deals here in free agency when it comes to offensive line play?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like all of their free agency resources are going to the defensive line. So if that's the case, you would think that it would be the opposite when it comes to the draft. And I think you're right. I think we will see some modest moves. John Feliciano, for example, could be back, and if he is, then he would be the front runner to play at right guard this year. I'm sure you saw the big Ben Barch news that I broke last week. So Ben Barch is coming back. So you have that to fall back on. But no, I agree with you. I mean, my scenario in my mind is that they're sitting there at 31, and maybe a offensive tackle falls to them there. But they've got so many other picks that you can easily see a scenario where the guy I've been circling is Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. Seems to have a lot of potential, to become a left tackle. So if he's still there at, say, pick 22 or pick 25, the 49ers certainly have the ability to package some of their picks and go up and get him. And maybe he starts at right tackle in year one. Maybe he's the swing tackle in year one. But I think that the long-term goal with a move like that is that he one day, or he apprentices under Trent Williams for, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the number is, and then eventually takes over that left tackle spot for Trent Williams and becomes Brock Purdy's protector for, the next decade.
We monitored all of Brock Purdy's injury, stuff last year regarding like timetables and when he was going to be available. I mean, it was crazy. I haven't heard anything about Hufanga returning from the ACL, like where he's at, or Dre Greenlaw. And now obviously they signed a linebacker. One would say they have nothing to do with Greenlaw. One could say, hey, maybe it's because they don't think Greenlaw will be ready. Do you have any update on either of those two's recovery?
Yeah, I did check in about Greenlaw this morning because, when they sign Eric Kendricks, it makes you wonder, does this mean that they, think Greenlaw is going to miss half the season or what? Two things. One, I think that they needed a veteran linebacker there. I mean, even when Greenlaw is healthy, there are games where that number 3 linebacker plays 20, 25 snaps in the base defense. You also need somebody who has the ability to come in and play middle linebacker, to have the green dot on his helmet. Right. If, heaven forbid, Fred Warner has to miss a snap or a game or something like that. That's been very rare over the past 6 seasons, but it's a plausible scenario, and Kendricks can do that. I mean, that allows Dre Greenlaw to remain at weak side linebacker. So there's that. And then to answer your question, it was described to me as a routine, as bad as they are, as a routine Achilles heel tear with no complications with the surgery. Having him on the field for week 1 would probably be aggressive, but that's in the realm of possibility. So, I mean, I think that there's a good chance he misses no games. Probably the likeliest scenario is that he begins the season on PUP. The 49ers don't rush him. They would save a roster spot if they did that, and that Kendricks would start the season at weak side linebacker, and then at some point Greenlaw comes back, and then Kendricks transitions to the strong side spot.
Matt Barrows, you're on fire right now. We'll get you out of here with this one. The Chargers, they have some big-time decisions to make here at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, any interest from the 49ers on those two guys? And quick one for you here. Any interest in bringing Jimmy back as a backup?
I'll answer your second question first. I think the answer to that is no. I don't think so. I mean, I think the most plausible scenario at quarterback, now that they re-signed Brandon Allen, is that they draft one. I mean, maybe middle rounds this time. The guy out of Tulane makes sense. Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina makes sense.
You can't just drop Spencer Rattler around here, Matt Barrows. That's intriguing to me.
He's got a first-round name, but maybe he's a mid-round quarterback. Right. I don't know. And then your other, I forget what your other question.
About Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack.
Yeah, I mean, it's Joey Bosa. I mean, you would be making one prominent guy on your roster really happy if that were to happen. There is a salary consideration, and I feel like they've done their work at the edge spot. I mean, they brought in Leonard Floyd. They signed Yetur Gross-Matos as well. I know that he can play inside and outside, but it would definitely be a full house at edge if they brought in Joey Bosa as well. You got Drake Jackson. You've got Robert Beal Jr. That's a lot of bodies at defensive end. I know 2 of those guys really haven't produced yet, but I'm a little skeptical. But everybody I talk to says, the 49ers are the team to watch with Joey Bosa. So we'll see how it turns out.
Say that last name for Carolina, because we were batting that around on Monday, and we have an award show at the end of the year for the worst mispronunciations when it comes to names.
Oh, God, am I in the running now for that?
No, I don't know. You may have said it. We
don't know.
Yetur.
Yeah, the pronunciation guide says
Yetur.
Gross-Matos.
Yeah, we figured that. Yetur Gross-Matos. We've been saying it like that, so we're going to roll with you, too, because we were saying it Monday. Shasky's over here is like, I'm not going near that name right now, so you're just going to call him YGM, I guess. YGM, making a play on the sack. YGM, I don't know. Hey.
Well, I mean, we used to struggle with Kyle Juszczyk for months and months and months, and now it just rolls off the tongue. I think we'll get used to it.
Yeah, no doubt. Matt, man, really good stuff, man. A lot of good, insightful stuff there. Thanks so much for the time today.
All right, anytime, guys. Talk to you soon.
Anytime. Matt Barrows from The Athletic, man. He was on fire. 49ers insider there.